Thank you. And we're also live on Facebook and YouTube for our daily lives for authors. So I did this back in March and I took a break in April, kind of inadvertently. I didn't intend to take a break for so long, but I wanted to start it out again here in May just to give you some insights into kind of where my head is at for the new direction of my author brand and my author services and everything about that. So if you are joining me for the first time, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. So today I wanted to talk about my Instagram bio. Seems kind of odd, but I put a quote in there about kind of like who I help and that kind of thing. Hi, thanks for joining. And I wanted to share that statement and kind of my thinking behind it. And then we're going to explore similar topics throughout the week. We've got a lot of fun things to talk about this week. So my Instagram bio says, and I wrote it down so I won't forget, creating safe spaces for authors to courageously write their best books. And so I wanted to focus in on the phrase safe spaces and what that actually means. Yes, I want you to write your best book. I want you to courageously write your best book because a lot of times that does take courage and bravery, and it takes authenticity and vulnerability, which are some things we'll talk about later this week. It takes being really honest with yourself. But in order for you to be able to do that, you have to have a safe space in which to do that. And if you don't feel safe, you aren't able to explore your creativity in an honest way. You aren't able to tap into your authenticity or your vulnerability, which is required to create art. And as authors, as writers, we are creating art. That is our commission. We just do it in the form of books, whether that's fiction or nonfiction. So it's really just anything that you create. So I would encourage you to think about, where is a safe space for you? What makes you feel the best, where you're showing up as your best self, where you can feel safe to explore the creativity, explore the sides of your writing for us writers and authors. Where's a safe space where you feel like you can just audaciously explore everything that you want to write about? Sometimes it doesn't feel safe to do that in public, obviously. And a lot of our writing is done in private. But sometimes there are things that maybe we want to explore that it just doesn't feel safe to do so because of, the past or our current friend group, or some of the things we see other authors say, or some of the things that readers say to other authors, or whoever it is that's kind of making you struggle and you don't feel safe to explore that. So let me kind of show how this could play out. Perhaps you always wanted to try a different genre, and you had started writing in maybe, like thrillers or something, and you started writing in that kind of that genre and that kind of field. And those were the books that you started out writing. Totally cool. Awesome. But you feel like you want to explore another genre. Maybe you want to explore, and I'm just going to use this because this is part of my story. Maybe you want to explore something like romance. And because of certain, let's just say bad attitudes that people might have about a certain genre, or stereotypes that they might have, it may not feel safe to explore that. But that is why I strive to create a safe space on my Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, in all of the groups that I'm a part of, and most importantly, in the groups that I manage. So currently I have 2 Facebook groups. I have one for my Instagram for Authors course, and that's open for anyone who has joined the Instagram for Authors course. And then I also have a group open for my Edit with an Editor membership. And that is for anyone who joins that membership. And we edit together and we create our books together. But these are the safe spaces that I hope to cultivate and create as a creator myself, because I know that there are a lot of times we get hung up on all of the all these external opinions, and we get we kind of collapse in on ourselves, and we say, this just doesn't feel like a safe place. And sometimes it's just we have to create that safe place for ourselves. And sometimes that just means allowing yourself to open up a blank document and let your creativity loose on the page. And sometimes it says, I give myself permission to try this, even if I may not want to share it with the world. And this is where the courageous part comes in. You don't always have to share everything. That's not what I'm saying. But if you feel like you write something, or you feel so strongly about something enough to write it down, and you want to share that with the world, sometimes it does take some courage to do so. It took some courage for me to share my first book. It took courage to share my second book. It took courage to share my romance novel. And I'm certain it will take courage to release every book that I have, because it shows my growth. It shows sometimes a different genre or different subgenre. There are a lot of different things. So this is why I created that line that I did in my Instagram bio, creating safe spaces for authors to courageously write their best books, because I want to help you write your best book. Because the best part about writing and creating is that we can get everything out on the page. And for authors, this is our unique. When you do a painting, you can't always edit it and change it. For authors, we do the first draft, and then we do several drafts after that before we actually release it into the world. So we have the opportunity to just let our creativity loose on the page and let it be free and flowing and not care about how it's going to end up, because we can always edit it, we can change it, we can tweak it and make it our best possible work that we present to the world. That also helps a little bit with the courageous part, because we know that we've put our best effort into it and it's not just our raw thoughts on the page that we sent out. Sometimes that's good to share. Sometimes that's very helpful and therapeutic to share. And I'm not saying that you can't do that. And I think that's one of the strengths of social media, is you can do that. So we are going to talk about vulnerability, which plays into this later this week. But that's really all I wanted to say about that. I encourage you to find a safe space for you to explore your creativity, for you to tap into the truest part of you, to be honest with yourself. That's also part of the courageous thing. Is sometimes it's very hard to be honest, even with yourself. And so I encourage you to dig deep, figure out what it is that you really, really want to write, what it is that lights you up, that is getting you excited. And it may change from time to time. I did a live back when I was doing these daily lives about why I was pausing on my current book, and it just didn't feel right. It just wasn't the right time. But I do know that I intend to publish that at some point. I just don't know when that is. So I encourage you to lean into all of those things, get honest with yourself, and show up with authenticity as well when you are ready to share. And that's another thing we're going to talk about this week. So it's going to be a great week. We're going to talk about safe spaces. We're going to talk about consent in marketing, which is this insight that my husband and I, we were watching something together yesterday, actually. And we were talking about like consent in marketing and all this kind of stuff. And so I'm going to give you kind of my story and how that goes, because marketing can sometimes feel super icky and we don't want that. And that's part of me creating a safe space, is creating marketing and messaging for you all that does not feel icky and does not feel like I'm trying to sell to you, because that is not the space that I want to create. Very motivational. Thank you. I just took a break from writing. Now I'm pumped to go write again. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad. I hope that your writing session is amazing. It's going to be so much fun. I personally need to get back to my own draft, so I'm right there with you. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. I plan to do these more often now. Now that, it's May, so it's a new month. We want to just start out with